As the semiconductor war rages on between China and the US, China has now decided that in response to some of the restrictions brought upon by the US, China is going to restrict two metals that are used for high performance chips. And so this is just another step in this continued war for, supremacy over high performance chips that America is trying to essentially maintain an edge on China with. And so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. And so guys, as you smash that like button, let me run that intro. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm not even going to waffle, let's get right into this. So it was reported in the Wall Street Journal that China is restricting the exports of two metals used in high performance chips, and those metals are gallium and germanium. But good news guys, they have not banned unobtainium yet, so that one is still able to be exported into the US. And so, that is retaliation over chip curves by the US and others. And so let's dive into the story a little bit. And so China says that it's restricting exports of products and materials containing gallium and germanium, which are metals that are vital in semiconductors, 5G base stations, and solar panels. So very interesting. And of course, you guys know why this is. And it's because China and the US are locked in competition over dominance in areas such as AI, quantum computing, and clean energy. But I don't think this is the real reason. I think the real reason is that it's a response or retaliation to what the US is doing. And what exactly is US doing? Well, the US, you guys know, is that they're continuing to restrict the amount of chips that China has access to from NVIDIA and others, which could be used for weapon development and hacking. So I put the comment here where I said measures against China's chip makers are intended to prevent China from developing technologies that might give it an edge in defense and other areas that Washington deems critical to national security. And so now I do believe that you're going to get this bit of a back and forth. Now, I did put out a video earlier today, which I will link at the end of this video, which shows you that some of these restrictions might backfire because they might actually make China stronger. Like, for example, if you're banning all cloud companies from operating, or Western cloud companies from operating in China, or at least the American cloud companies from operating in China and taking on Chinese corporate clients, then you're leaving those clients available for Alibaba, which allows Alibaba to get stronger and generate more capital to reinvest in its business, and thus does it become a global leader? I don't know, but it spells not good news overall and over the long term, I think, for the Western leaders of the cloud-based market when they're locked out of some of the largest and growing economies like China. And so, this was just a couple of days ago. The Biden administration is considering new restrictions on exports of artificial intelligence chips to China as concerns rise over the power of technology in the hands of U.S. rivals, according to people familiar with the situation. So once again, these are unnamed sources, but this is what's causing the tit for tat. This is what's causing China to say, hey, okay, well, if you're not going to send us the chips, we're not going to supply you with the materials that you use to build these chips. And that's really what it comes down to. China dominates the global production, refining, and processing of many critical raw materials. And so while the US and its allies depend on China for these critical minerals, China needs Western technology such as lithography machines to produce high-performance chips. So now you have an impasse where if you don't send the high-end chips to China, China will respond by not sending you the high-performance elements you need for those chips. Now, can you source those elements from other places in the world? Maybe some of them, maybe not. You guys in the comments are smarter than I am, so let me know if you can source these, specifically these two materials, from anywhere else in the world. Now, the problem with these tit for tats is that sometimes, it will elevate tensions. And so I hope that, the US and the Chinese continue to work together or start working together more. Charlie Munger made a good point where he said, why can't China and the US just be friends? So China has signaled to the US that it's interested in establishing a new bilateral dialogue on export controls. And this latest move could provide Beijing with more leverage in upcoming discussions with Washington. And so I'm hoping that the visit of Janet Yellen to China on Thursday through Sunday will help move them in that direction. Like, we should be working together. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm not a geopolitical expert either when it comes to that stuff. I'm just a value investor. So you guys let me know in the comments whether or not you agree with all of these restrictions even that the US is putting on China. But one thing's for sure, I think ultimately restrictions caused the Chinese chip manufacturers to become stronger. I do believe that the ban on cloud companies in the West to, or at least in America, to operate in China is only going to help Alibaba get better. But once again, you guys may not have seen that video where I talk about that, and so I will link that video right here.